Hey, welcome you guys to February 26th calendar committee meeting. It is 4 o'clock, so let's get started. One new thing from last year, the new big thing was we are streaming public meeting. We also, with that public meeting law, need to take official minutes from the meeting and then approve them at this meeting. So in front of you, you have beautiful Tammy's minutes that she typed up, so if you could take a few minutes to read through those, so we can publicly acknowledge and approve those meeting minutes before we get started. While you're doing that, I will go around, so Tammy, make sure,
Does anybody need copies of anything?
Marilee's name spelled wrong.
I was gonna say, my only mayor's name.
Okay, I think it's Marley. I answer to all kinds of versions and spelling.
We'll get it,
We're gonna get that right.
we're gonna get it right in there.
Megan's gonna be super quiet tonight. She doesn't have to write it.
So we have in the room Tammy Parker, Bill Huff, Ben Durr, Michelle Powers, Deborah McLeod, Marilee Smith, Marillee, Kimberly Bonner, Jake Huffman, Melissa Bunting, Annie Madoff, Becky Carter, and myself.
Do we then move to approve this amendment? Do we have to like do the whole thing?
Doesn't hurt.
Sure, I'll move to approve with the amendment of Mayor's name.
I'll second.
Hey. Approval, go ahead and raise your hands.
Well, Robert's rule discussion.
Oh,
Fair.
sorry.
That is true.
Discussion.
If we're gonna do Robert's rules.
We
let's
might as well do it all. That's. I need a little insert. Any discussion? We have a motion to approve, a second, any discussion? Okay. All approved. Good morning. Okay. Any no's? Okay, so we're approving with the adjustment of Marilee's name. She spells it. Excellent. Okay. So just to review what we went over at the last meeting in terms of when we're looking at the calendar. So we did find that we have 170 student contact days and 190 certified work days. We will present this to the board in April along with a recommendation from this board. But the one of the comments or one of the conversations that we had was about moving that February 13th day to the 6th. And since then, Kimberly Bonner has emailed and said, never mind, she takes it back. Takes it back. Kimberly, do you want to talk about that at all?
I will talk about that. So, when we had our training this last equivalent, February 14th, we've been our attendance than ever before. So it wasn't the issue I thought it was gonna be with the 4-day weekend. Plus, there's a district wrestling that always happens, and it's a giant facility issue with like 800 kids that come in, right? Is that about right?
They did say they could move it to the weekend before, but
Well,
I'm okay
I
with
just-
keeping it the way it is.
Yeah. I was wrong. Like it did not impact my staff like I thought it would. So
didn't hear you.
I said it wrong.
Take note.
Would you like me to say it one more time?
Yeah.
I was wrong. I don't know how it impacted other people.
Actually had a couple kind of randomly informal conversations and with both certified and classified staff that said it was actually nice to have a training day and then on a Friday and then the holiday that they felt like they were coming back refreshed, kind of in the middle of a dry season. So it seems like there's some benefits to it.
Well, if you need to hear me say it as well.
I didn't, I agree.
It'll be part of the official minutes, so we're good. Yeah.
Printed retraction. It would be,
Yeah. The other conversations that we had were kind of outside of calendar in terms of when the October, November date was and whether we could move some OSAS testing dates up. It doesn't really, I mean, it coincides with the calendar, but we don't need that conversation for the calendar approval. Cindy has graciously gone through and said that, no, we don't get that information, the new training updates from the state until after November 1st. So we still would have to train new people using last year's, and then later on in the year, train with our new information.
And a little bit more because I reached out to my support person about that. That I have to have the training before any STCs or anybody can provide. And that training is not provided to me till about the first or second week in November, just kind of depends from year to year. I do know that there's some talk of some new things in the works. I don't think it's going to be next year, but possibly the next year there could be some changes that would allow us to make some different moves.
Okay, so we'll maybe talk about that with the 26, 27 or 27 calendar conversation, of which Melissa Bunting has asked for different representation from Griffith River instead of, so we'll
Just
also.
that I don't feel like I represent the majority of our staff now, not being in the regular classroom, so I feel like somebody else should do it. If nobody wants to do it, I'll do it, but it seems like it should be kind of a classroom person. Because when you start talking about testing and training and things, and
You're just such a good global thinker.
The historical knowledge is important, so we'll.
I'm okay either way, but I just didn't, I want somebody to represent, I guess.
Quick question, as Terry and I would take this to the board, I know we intentionally shifted some days to where there's more in first trimester. Can you give me the quick bullet point list on the benefits and why we did that again?
For the high school,
Yeah,
the third trimester was a bit long for, and then most of the AP classes happen in the first two trimesters. And so to gain a little bit more instructional time for those advanced classes.
And your staff was mostly on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on board with it and then they're like, well,
And-
wait, it's gonna be short third trimester, like we,
Something has to be.
yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta. So, but then, yeah, they came back around.
Yeah, and I would say that as. In my position, that's probably the feedback that I have gotten from the high
Yeah.
school from the year that I've heard in many different ways, like. How hard it is to get that curriculum in for those dual credit classes and the
Yeah.
EP classes. Done in the first and second trimesters, with those being the short students.
Unless you guys wanna talk about semesters.
Right, we'll add that.
Negative.
Add that on the 26, 27 calendar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Outside the scope.
Yeah.
That's very important.
All right, so the other things that came up outside of this that we just discussed, but there was nothing that we're changing on this calendar, was a secondary calendar versus an elementary calendar. There was mixed reviews about that. There was no consensus about that. There was no need to kind of move forward with that at this time. And then we had also talked about increased PD days without decreasing student contact days, but also that came out with mixed reviews about whether that was a necessity at any level. And it wasn't fully supported. So we do not see any of that on this calendar. So what you have in front of you right now is the calendar. Again, thank you, Tammy. Debbie reached out and asked about putting kinder first day on there, and Tammy had actually reached out to me about 2 hours before Debbie reached out and said she'd be putting kinder first day on there, so you'll see that as September 8th.
Did we also want to add kindergarten jumpstart on there since it does happen in August, which is part of this calendar, or not? We haven't in the past because it only affects a short amount of staff members
Yeah,
and they already know what the weeks are, but I just wasn't sure if we wanted the documentation.
no, we talked about that last year too, and chose to leave it off for a couple of reasons. So we just went with that model. So as you look at this, any other concerns, notes, questions?
Sorry,
So all kids are gonna go on the second,
that was my question too.
September?
Oh, did we? No, so that one needs to be, good catch,
Well, I should say that.
the third. So it should be first, second, and then the third for the first day for 7 and 8 and 10 through 12.
Is there really a school board meeting on December 11th?
Oh, well, that probably needs to be the
Should be
15th,
Monday.
to be updated.
There's one listed on the 8th and one listed on the 11th.
Probably just on the-
Yeah.
Am I not seeing when second trimester begins? Am I not? Get on there and I'm just not seeing it.
It's the December 15th. It just doesn't say it.
Yeah, that's what that day is.
Okay.
That is helpful to have that labeled.
It is for the 3rd of March.
And then on December, it says 22nd through 2.
January 2nd.
January 2nd. Got you, got you.
I think we also want in April where it denotes the student support day for high school too,
Mhm.
right, Jake?
Yeah.
Okay.
What day is that on?
That'll be the 23rd and 24th. So where it says on October 23rd, conferences 4 to 8 high school student support on April, and say the same thing, conferences 4 to 8 in high school.
When do high school teachers get their teacher directed in?
So you guys trade that out. Jake, remind me when
We flip it.
you flip it, so you get on the Friday.
Oh, cool.
Right, as I was asking this question, I remembered the answer.
Yep.
Anything else? Anybody see it? So I'm hearing trimester 2 beginning to add that in on the 15th where that outlined black box is. I'm hearing on the September instead of the second first day, and then the second first day, it needs to be the first, second, and third. And then in April, on the April 23rd conferences, and then high school student support day.
And the board meeting in
Yes,
December.
and the board meeting in December.
It's
It's
just
on
gonna go into-
it's on there,
Just go to the
just
next.
getting rid of the one get rid of the second one,
Not yet.
this one.
Is this going to Linda next?
Hmm,
Are we about ready to send this to Linda for?
well, we can send it to Linda in draft form, but when we take it to the board. In either March or April, then Linda gets in there.
Counselors were just asking about for inputting copying their schedule over. for
Yeah.
Forecasting.
Yeah.
So we have to wait for board approval for that?
You're wise too.
Yeah.
Don't wanna do something twice.
Yep.
I think if we approve this today, we can probably squeeze it into the March
Already on the agenda.
sooner rather than April. All right. Okay, we'll do it a thumbs up. I like it. Thumbs to the side, there are some things I have concerns about, but I'll live with it, and thumbs down, like this is not my happy calendar at all, and I have more questions and concerns. Okay, around the board? We have everybody with a thumbs up. We're adjourned, people.
Wow.
This is it.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you for all your input and your questions and your catches on all the things. Appreciate you guys. If you didn't sign in, make sure